I would now consider the Detroit Lions defense to be elite, and it's one of the big reasons for their recent success. Now, I would understand if you wouldn't classify the Lions defense as elite, but you have to at least recognize that they are a top 10 defense in the league right now, and their rushing defense is definitely elite. Last season, we all know that the Lions defense was bad. They are 28th in points per game allowed, 29th in rushing yards per game allowed, 30th in passing yards per game allowed, and last in yards per game allowed. However, even though the Lions defense was not good, they weren't as bad as these stats portrayed them, and a lot of people went into this season underestimating the Lions defense. If you look back to last year, throughout the last 10 games of the season when the Lions went 8-2 after starting the season 1-6, a lot of people didn't realize that their defense improved throughout the year. And it makes sense that they improved as they had the youngest team in the NFL. The defense had multiple strong performances throughout that 10-game stretch. Starting out in week 9, they held Aaron Rodgers and the Packers offense to just 9 points and under 300 yards of total offense. Week 11, the Lions defense headed to MetLife Stadium and shut down Saquon Barkley and held Daniel Jones and the Giants offense to just 6 points. Only 6 points until the Giants scored 12 in the fourth quarter, but it was garbage time and didn't matter. The Lions already had a huge commanding lead. Week 12, the Lions did lose a close one to the Bills on Thanksgiving, but took Josh Allen down 3 times and additionally only held the Bills to just 28 points. 28 is still a lot, but for the Bills, how strong their offense can be, 28 isn't bad. Week 13, the Lions killed the Jags, a playoff team at home, holding Trevor Lawrence to just 14 points. Then held the Bears to just 10 points week 17 and the Packers to just 16 points week 18. A lot of people underestimated this defense heading into this year when they had strong performances last season. It wasn't just all bad, and they even added players over the offseason. I don't know how people didn't think this Lions defense would be competitive. Moving on to this season, week 1, they held the Kansas City Chiefs to just 20 points, one of the best offenses in the league. However, they did get a little bit lucky with a few drops. Week 2 against Seattle, lost in overtime, gave up 37 points. Not the best performance, but Geno Smith was on fire. Week 3 against the Falcons, shut down Desmond Ridder and Bijan Robinson, only allowing 6 points. And then week 4 against the Packers, only allowed 20 points, which included a few garbage time touchdowns. Now, this is a huge statistic I want everybody to see. This is what the Lions defense gave up through weeks 1, 2, 3, and 4. Week 1 is the top column, week 2 is the second column, and so on. Against the Chiefs, with Mahomes scrambling, Clyde Edwards, and Isaiah Pacheco, the Lions only allowed 90 rushing yards. Week 2, Seattle Seahawks, going up against Kenneth Walker III, runner-up for Offensive Rookie of the Year last season, only allowed 82 total rushing yards from the Seahawks whole team. Last week against the Falcons, going up against Bijan Robinson and Tyler Algier, 2 young potential superstar running backs. And for some context, week 2, the Packers faced the Falcons and gave up over 200 rushing yards, over 100 just to Robinson himself. And the Lions held the Falcons to just 44 yards. And that's with a rushing quarterback, Desmond Ridder. And then this past week against the Packers, only allowed 27 rushing yards from A.J. Dillon and Aaron Jones. And the rush defense's success goes back further than just this season. But before I get into that, I want to go back to week 2 and talk about after the Lions lost to Seattle, everybody lost it. Everybody freaked out. People were saying fire Aaron Glenn. And to that, I just want to say, what the fuck? The Lions are now 3-1. Nobody's worried anymore. All the people that freaked out after that loss just showed they didn't know what the hell they were talking about. They didn't follow the Lions last year. They didn't see the defensive improvements throughout the second half of last year. They probably read something about the team and then watched half the game, saw the final score, and then cried. I'm sorry, I just hate stuff like that. There's no reason to diss a team in Aaron Glenn like that when you don't realize what you're talking about and don't realize what Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes have built. Because I guarantee you, if the Lions would have won the coin toss and won in overtime, nobody would have been screaming fire Aaron Glenn. Looking at the Lions' last 15 games, their run defense has been phenomenal. with the exception of their Week 16 loss to the Panthers. This is a list of the top rushers from each week, and you can see nobody besides Foreman has broken or gotten even close to 100 yards rushing. Now this list does exclude quarterbacks, as Justin Fields had 2 big games rushing against the Lions, but they won both of them. Overall though, this is still a phenomenal stat line. Great work by Aaron Glenn and the crew. As of now, through 4 weeks, the Detroit Lions defense currently ranks 13th in points per game allowed, 1st in rushing yards per game allowed, 17th in passing yards per game allowed, and 4th in overall yards per game allowed. Outstanding. And as of now, according to Pro Football Reference, the Lions front 7 currently lead the league in quarterback pressures with 49. And coming up this weekend for week 5, the Lions take on the Panthers. Last week, the Vikings played the Panthers, and Bryce Young was sacked 5 times by the Vikings defensive line. And the Lions currently have 12 sacks in their last 2 games. So it's going to be interesting to see how many times the Lions defensive line can take down Bryce Young. And this is a big revenge game for them, as last year the Panthers smoked the Lions. Honestly, if the Lions don't destroy the Panthers, it will be disappointing, as the Panthers are the worst team in the NFL right now. Bryce Young hasn't looked amazing at all. Hopefully the Lions defense continue to destroy offenses, and the Lions offense continue to put up some big numbers. With the Lions defense, we've seen some insane players break out. Most notably, Aiden Hutchinson has picked up right where he left off from his rookie season and is exploding, looking even better in his sophomore season. Aiden Hutchinson was amazing week 1 against Patrick Mahomes. Didn't record any sacks, but had a ton of QB pressures and 3 QB hits. Hutchinson has also just been unblockable throughout the first 4 games. He's held all the time. Sadly, the refs don't call it a lot, but you have to hold Hutchinson to stop him. There's no stopping him. So far through 4 weeks, Hutchinson has 3.5 sacks, 12 combined tackles, 7 QB hits, 2 tackles for loss, a forced fumble, a fumble recovery, and 3 pass deflections. And obviously, the other big standout player, Brian Branch, has been amazing. The steal of the draft, has the pick 6 against Mahomes, 21 solo tackles, 25 combined, 3 tackles for loss with 4 pass deflections. He's been unstoppable, amazing at reading plays, hits extremely hard. Definitely in the conversation for Defensive Rookie of the Year, and Hutchinson is in the conversation for Defensive Player of the Year. And Hutchinson is also tied for the most quarterback pressures in the NFL right now, with 27, tied with Max Crosby and Micah Parsons. And it's not just Branch and Hutchinson that are balling out. The whole Lions defense has stepped up. We've seen a huge improvement from Derek Barnes. Cameron Sutton has been outstanding. Tracy Walker is back. Emmanuel Mosley will be starting his first game. I'm not sure about starting, but he'll be making an appearance in his first game, week 5 this weekend against the Panthers. Hopefully Kirby Joseph recovers and gets back from his injury. Tracy Walker has returned and is playing great. Jerry Jacobs has improved his play over the last 2 games. Rookie Jack Campbell has been great, got his first sack. McNeil has been great, 2 sacks, 3 tackles for loss. Everybody on the defense has been playing great. Harris, Anzalone, Jones, Buggs, Kaminsky. This whole team is stacked, and also hopefully Gardner Johnson can recover for the playoffs. The Lions currently have one of the best defenses in the NFL right now. I can't wait to watch them destroy the Panthers. Hopefully the Lions defense destroy them, and I can't wait to watch the Lions take down some more NFC North opponents. We've only played the Packers, that's it. I want to take down the Packers again, kill the Vikings, and kill the Bears. Anyway, that's going to be the end of this video. If you enjoy my content, I would really appreciate if you could like and subscribe. It really helps me out a lot, and thanks for watching.